Hello FTM Transtastic, my name is Luke, and this week we are talking about other communities that we are a part of, which I think is a great topic. There are different types of communities. You can have communities that are in real life, and you can have online communities, and I think there is a distinction, although there's sometimes overlap. Obviously, I'm part of the trans community. I'm not a part of the trans community really in real life. I am online though, so there you go. I'm also a big Harry Potter fan, and that's both in real life and online. So in real life, I'm actually on the committee for the Harry Potter Club at my uni, and I play Quidditch, which is different, and I'm going to talk about that later. I'm pretty sure everyone already knows that I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I'm not really sure if fandoms count as communities. It's something that I enjoy, it's something I do, and it's something that I do with other people, so I'm assuming that's kind of like a community, I guess. I'm part of the third culture kid community, but that's not really a community. A third culture kid is a person who grew up in a country outside of their parents' birth country. For example, me, my family is Australian, but I grew up in Hong Kong, so I grew up not in Australian culture, I grew up in a completely different culture. I'm really into Myers-Briggs and stuff like that. I wouldn't say that's a community. It's just something I enjoy and something I'm really fascinated and interested by that other people share a similar passion and interest in, but I wouldn't say it's an actual community. At the same time, I'm comparing these communities to communities like the trans community, the queer community. They're completely different, obviously, but those communities are very solidified based on certain characteristics as opposed to certain choices. I didn't choose to be trans, so the trans community is built up of a whole bunch of people who didn't choose to be trans. Whereas if I really didn't like Harry Potter, I could just not be a Harry Potter fan and then not involve myself in the Harry Potter community. Like there's a choice in that. So I don't know, maybe that's why I'm seeing it differently. But at the same time, I think community is also something that is very much involved with other people, and although Harry Potter is like that, it's not to the same extent as, for example, the trans community, or as I'm going to get to now, the Quidditch community. For those of you who don't know, I play Quidditch, which is based off the Harry Potter series. Surprise, surprise. It's the sport they play on the flying broomsticks, the keepers, the chasers who play with the quaffle to score points, the beaters who hit other players to disrupt their play and knock them off their brooms, and then the seeker who catches the golden snitch. Now this has all been adapted to real life, and so we use PVC pipes as brooms, and we use a volleyball as a quaffle, and we use dodgeballs as bludgers for the beaters to hit people with, and the golden snitch is a person with a tag sticking out the back of their pants that someone has to grab. Quidditch is full contact, it's open to all genders, which I think is pretty cool. There is specifically rules in the rulebook to protect people who identify as non-binary so that they do not have to conform to their birth sex, and same with trans people. The sport is open and accepting of trans people and let trans people identify as how they want. I've never actually really experienced that because I started playing as male and I've only ever played as male, so I've never experienced playing as a trans person, but it's quite an inclusive sport for trans people. At least it is in Australia. I'm sure it is in other places. It's a pretty cool sport, and at least in Australia the community is really cool. So most of my friends are Quidditch players. My girlfriend I met through Quidditch. The only people I'm friends with now who don't play Quidditch are my friends I met before I played Quidditch, if that makes sense. And that sounds a little bit like a little bubble, and it kind of is, but at the same time, you have to be quite dedicated to play. You have to go to a lot of trainings, you have to go to a lot of games, particularly for me as I'm quite a prominent member of my team in regards to doing a lot of stuff for marketing, and I'm on the committee which funds it, and I'm also looking to be a member of leadership on the team. So obviously for me Quidditch is quite important, and I am very involved in the community, and I really want it to grow as a sport. I think that's probably the biggest community that I'm in besides the trans community, and I really enjoy the community that I have because of Quidditch. My cat's meowing. I was filming in the other room and she decided that she wanted to start biting my ankles. So I decided to move. I will put videos and stuff about Quidditch in the description if you're interested. It's very cool. I know it seems pretty nerdy, and I know people are like, oh, that's not a real sport, but seriously, if you watch it competitively, it's very much a real sport. I'd say it's probably is a cross between dodgeball, rugby, and maybe basketball. The brooms add an extra challenge. You can basically only do everything one-handed, but you can still tackle people and bring them to the ground. I know someone who broke his arm in 2 places. It's very physical, but that's one thing that I think is really cool about Quidditch, is that because it's such a physical sport, and it might not seem like it would be because it's based off Harry Potter, but I think that's something that makes it really cool, and really makes an interesting community, because there are some people who got into Quidditch who have no idea what Harry Potter is, have never really seen the books, never really read the series, or like aren't really hardcore fans. They just saw people playing and thought, hey, I want to get on that. So they play for the actual physical sport rather than actually the origin. And then there are some people like me who play for the physical sport now, but originally only started because, oh, it's Quidditch, it's Harry Potter. I saw Quidditch and I lost my shit and thought it was going to be the best thing ever. And I went there expecting it to be really chill, and it turned out to be super tactical and very skill based, and I was not expecting that at all. But I love that, so it worked out fine for me. But then there are some people who are just total Harry Potter nerds who only play because they love Harry Potter. So I think it's really cool that there's a bit of both. There are a few people who are halfway in the middle who love the series but also want to play the competitive sport, and that's what they're there for. There are some people who just only here for the sport, and some people who are only here for the Harry Potter. It's interesting, there aren't any other sports like that. There aren't any other sports that are based on something that is so embedded into pop culture like Harry Potter is, you know? Which I think is really cool, because it creates quite a diverse community who not only are really physical, like jocks, and then people who are basically nerds. There are all these people and they're all kind of mushed together, and they all work well together, and they work hard and they play hard, and it's so team-based as well. You need to play with all of the players on your team, and that's one thing that I love about it. So it's a real good sport to lift people up in. I just think it's really good. I could talk about it all day. So that's something that I'm heavily involved in, and that's something that's quite important to me. I just finished filming and I realized that I have quite a bit to talk about when it comes to actually Quidditch and my relation to it being trans that I didn't mention, that I was going to mention in the video. It went a little bit too long, so I decided to put it onto my personal channel. So if you're interested in me talking about that, I'll leave it up in the cards. It's kind of interesting actually talking about it, and I was quite glad I got to talk about it, so hopefully it's not too boring. Anyway, that's gonna be up there. Bye. That's all I gotta say about communities. What communities are you part of? Do you think I've missed any? Anyway, I hope that you guys had a good week, and I hope you have an even better week next week, and I will speak to you next week. But before I go, I just want to quickly remind you guys that Fantastic are doing a Q&A in 2 weeks. I'm going to make a post on Instagram as well. I think there's been a post on Tumblr, but I'm going to announce it here. If you have any questions for me, in particular me, if you want to ask anyone else questions, you can post the questions on their videos or their photos. But if you've got any questions for me, post them down below, and maybe say that you want it for the Q&A so I don't answer it in the comments, and I will collect them all up. I'll answer them in my video for the Q&A week. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to comment down below. I'm really worried I won't get any questions, so and I will answer them in the video. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.